I am so sorry to the Black Americans because you guys have been fighting. You guys have been fighting for your lives against racism, known and unknown. People didn't want you to vote. People didn't want you to learn. People didn't want you to have a solid life, housing, food, healthy.
Africans, stop calling Black Americans African Americans. They do not like it. They said it's racist. Call them Black Americans. They don't like being called African American. They don't like it at all. Respect their decision. They don't like being called African American. America is their roots. America is their identity.
I've already apologized to the Black Americans for all the disrespect that the island people, the Africans, the Spanish people, all of us that are in America, all the people that we know we're not white, but some of you still think you're white. But I have apologized to Black Americans because we have disrespected them. We have disrespected them. All our immigrants, we have disrespected them. They are right. They have been fighting and fighting and fighting. That is why we were even allowed to come to America. And yet still we disrespect them continuously. West Indian people, island people, Africans, Spanish people, wherever you are, from South America, from DR, from Puerto Rico, wherever you are, we have disrespected Black Americans. And we don't understand that they are right. They have been fighting. And it's because of them why we were even allowed to come to America. We have to cut out this shit. I don't want to see none of this shit anymore on social media. We are fucking one. We are all fighting for the same cause. We are all fighting for the same cause. We are all Black. Do you think that the system see us as any different? We are the same, and they have been fighting for us, for Black people.
Hello brothers and sisters, welcome back to the channel. I'm hoping that you're doing great from whatever you're watching us from. There's a video that I did like a week ago about Black Americans talking about delineating from Africans and immigrants, right? And it was a sad video because you as me as a person knowing the truth, understanding part of Black American history and understanding African history, I realized something. I realized that majority of us are just being played. And all this back and forth that we are having between Black Americans and Africans and immigrants, back and forth, we have all been played. But it becomes even so much better seeing Africans and immigrants come out and apologize to Black Americans. They're apologizing to Black Americans. This surrendering shows that they recognize their fault. They recognize their ancestors' fault. And some of them, even in the contemporary United States, they recognize that some of the immigrants or some of the Africans might have caused trouble with Black Americans in the United States. And this has led to some social, economical, political disagreements that have been happening. And you know, this is a broad topic that people often have been talking about. And now seeing Africans break their silence and talk about this issue, it's so much important. And why is it so much important? Because it's going to bring clarity, and the clarity is going to bring unity between Africans and Black Americans, right? Or those Black Americans that refer to themselves as African Americans. This is so much important topic that we need to address. And so brothers and sisters, buckle up for this video. I'll be back with my thoughts in regards to this. As you know, I'm your host and presenter, Hijirik Stories. Happy New Year to you. So let's watch the video. I'll be back.
To apologize deeply on behalf of the chiefs and people of Gold Coast and Ghana for the atrocities, the cruelty, the inhuman treatment that were committed 400 years ago by my ancestors during the Atlantic slave trade, where over 400 years ago, millions of our brothers and sisters were captured sold and transported under inhumane and cruel circumstances through Elmina Castle across to the Caribbeans and to the New World. On behalf of the chiefs and people of Ghana, I do render unqualified apology, deep from the bottom of our hearts. Deep from our bottom of our hearts. But one thing that I want you to be aware of, it was not without resistance. Some of our chiefs did fought and resisted. Some of our people did fought and resisted. But we are fighting a losing battle against a stronger army. People with guns, and we had no guns. They deceived us with liquor and all other temptations.
We come in humility and brokenness to repent for the sins of the leaders in Africa, and in particular, the sin of selling our own brothers and sisters into slavery. This great sin brought untold pain and misery to millions of people of African descent, and judgment to the African people who remained on the continent. The grave sin of slavery scattered our people all over the face of the earth, where they have suffered great deprivations and loss. If it were not for the part that our African kings and chiefs played in the slave trade, this evil trade could not have survived. Therefore, on behalf of all the African leaders, past and present, all of them, I acknowledge the part that we played in this tragedy, and today we ask for forgiveness. We seek forgiveness for the great pain and loss that the myopic and selfish decisions of our leaders caused our brothers and sisters of African descent around the world, and we ask their forgiveness. We plead the blood of Jesus to cleanse us all from this great sin and release us from the spiritual, mental, emotional, and economic bondage it brought. Today, we reopen the door to our brothers and sisters of African descent to return home to the continent of Africa, the land of their ancestry, and the spiritual homeland of all African people. We welcome you home with open arms as brothers and sisters, and pray that we can close the door to the dark past and work towards a better future. In Jesus' mighty name, we pray.
Everybody owes Black Americans an apology. When I say everybody, I mean everybody except Native Americans. Every other demographic owes Black Americans an apology. Now it's obvious that the white demographic owes us that, and we've been there. But I'm specifically talking about immigrants. I'm specifically talking about Latinos and Asians and Indians and Chinese and some Vietnamese and some Africans. Y'all owe us an apology.
A lot of immigrants look at Black people as if we are like the scum of America, when really, if it wasn't for the contributions of African Americans, y'all wouldn't want to be here, because it'd be a whole nother set of laws and rules. Especially people of color, nobody was lining up to come here until we start fighting for civil rights and things like that. So if you are trying to get here, understand the sacrifices that, were made in order for this to be a place that you actually want to come to.
Over there, when you came over here, your views of Black people, when you first finally ran into Black people, was your culture shock? Like, damn, they ain't like what I thought they was.
Now, I can't speak for all Africans, but for me, man, I thought blacks were thugs, right? Because that was what was portrayed. Like almost every movie, that was what we saw. And some of them will visit, Africa, and then they come with that, that swag, or whatever you want to call it, that aura.
Bravado, yeah.
Why do I say that? Because our culture is different from, that culture. So to me, it was like night and day. So yeah, coming in, but I didn't really know what a thug was. Like, not that they were killers.
Like we just thought it was gangsters, like
criminal
even gang
banging. I didn't really know what a gang banger was.
Right,
I could say it, but I didn't really understand it.
I know when you told me, like when he first met me, I had braids back in the day, so he
was definitely a thug.
He automatically thought I was a thug.
African immigrants should stop saying that they're doing better than every other people in America. I am sick of it. African immigrants, hear me. I know many of you really don't like the way I talk, and that's because I speak objectively. You are not doing better than any other racial group or any other person here in America. And the comparison is always with them and Black Americans. I don't know for some reason why African immigrants in America always want to compare themselves that they're doing better than Black Americans. You're not doing better than anybody, for real. African immigrants, hear me. You only have an opportunity that you don't have in Africa. Yes, you have an opportunity that you don't have in Africa, and that is why when you explore your skills here in a better environment here in the US, it looks like you're doing better. Ask yourself this question. If you are doing better, why couldn't you do better in Africa? If you are doing better, why are you such in a hurry to run away from Africa, looking for visa in all the African embassy to run away and come to the US? And you come to the US, you want to act like you're doing better because you are able to utilize opportunity you find here in America? It don't make no sense. We should stop it. If you even think that you're doing better in America, who actually made that possible? Black people were the one that actually fought for all the opportunity you get in America, and you're utilizing it and exploring it. Or you want me to remind you about the civil rights movement? What makes you think you can come all the way from Africa to the US and get a job and get paid decently? Is it not because of the civil rights movement that Black Americans actually fought here in America, giving you and I our liberation, our freedom, our sovereignty to enjoy all the social amenities in America? And for you to just come up and say you're doing better than them? Sometimes we African immigrants, we should. Many of us say we have bachelors in Africa before we came to the US, but sometimes we reason like a third grader. I've always said this, African immigrants, when you are about to come to the US, at the show where you bought your flight,
both of us was lied to by the same colonizers, okay? They divided us so that we argue over accents while they took cultures, minerals, and magic. Newsflash, they fear a united diaspora, okay? Because if Black Americans linked up with Africans, that's power, land, legacy, and truth in one room. Can you imagine the power that would come out of that? We don't hate each other. We just don't know each other, okay? And that built entire systems to keep it that way. Wake up. We're not enemies. We're the mirror. It's a lot of Black Americans that I grew up with, but oh, my mom and my dad are both Black, but I'm light skinned, and there's no mixing between us. But then as soon as a light skinned African person say it's a problem, y'all need to go and check that, okay? Check that and let me know what's the issue.
If you're an immigrant in America, I don't care where you're from, and you come and you disrespect Black Americans, you're wrong. Because I can't move to Jamaica and stay as long as I want. If I come to Bermuda, I get a job, and a Bermudian needs that job, they're going to fire me from that job and give it to the native. So in America, immigrants can come, take the jobs of Black Americans, they get loans, they get all types of stuff. And I think that's really made them kind of conceited and arrogant, as if Black Americans, people like Harlem Congressman Adam Clayton Powell, did not fight to get Black immigrants into the States. You see, once upon a time, America was letting in so many European immigrants that Black leaders were like, hey, wait a minute. You got to let in people from the Caribbean. You got to let in people from Africa. And they fought hard for that in the 60s and the civil rights era and etc. So for Africans or people from the Caribbean to come to America and talk about Black Americans are lazy We work harder. Like, I've been telling them for years, y'all need to stop that, because once Black America turns their back on you, once we turn our back on them, you're going to see that it was not white America that welcomed you. You think that white Americans are different from the Europeans that colonized the islands and native Africa. You're going to find out the hard way. So Black Americans are tired of the disrespect. And y'all need to understand that. And what y'all need to do right now is just be quiet. Humble yourselves. Black Americans have been fighting for reparations for at least 30 or 40 years. It's not new. And here you come interjecting yourselves into the conversation about reparations, which is none of your business. None of your business. I don't care if you're Haitian, Jamaican, from St. Kitts, St. wherever, okay? Nigeria, Sierra Leone, mind your business. Be grateful that you are allowed to come to America. Then on another note, I want to tell my Black Americans this, right? And this is from me traveling over to Africa these couple of times and me sitting actually in embassy offices. Number one, the people who are even allowed to immigrate to America from Africa are already meek and humble. It takes them a long time to even get an interview at our embassies to even come. And they have to come in there and they have to be very docile. They have to believe in white Jesus. And those are the ones that get in. Those are the ones that they allow visas to come over here because they know they're going to be quiet. They're not going to unite with Black Americans. Nobody is sitting at the embassy offices, some of which are filled with Black Americans interviewing them, are going to say to them, stay away from Black Americans when you get there. No, that's the Africans feeling like that. The ones who actually leave the continent to come here, which are very few, the people at home in Africa consider them as sellouts. I believe that they allow these sellouts, if you will, to come here so we never go back to Africa, that we think that these Africans that are here are the representatives who are on the continent, where in fact, when you go to Africa, I felt like when we used to go down south as kids and everybody welcomed you to the cookout, and that's how Black Americans are treated. So the ones that are here are not even the representatives of the Africans that they're.
Well, I was married to an African. I remember we was having a conversation and I said to him, you know, it just really seemed like y'all don't really like us. I was showing him a video. I said, this is what they show us of y'all, that y'all hungry, your ribs is hanging out. So I showed him the video of one of those commercials they would show us like 3 a.m. Could you spare $1? He said, that is not us. He looked at that video, he laughed, and he said, who is that? He said, that is not us. He said, that's not them in Africa. That was never them starving. I said, what? So then I said, well, what is they showing y'all of us? He said the movies that they see of us is that we are, you know, our men sell drugs, you know, which they do. But they sell drugs and they just murder anything walking. They murder everybody. And so I said, well, what they show y'all about us? He said, they show them that we're prostitutes and we get high. And I was like, what? And so then he said when he went to get his papers from immigration or whoever he get the papers from to come here, he said they told him, don't marry a Black woman. You be better off marrying a white woman. So when we're looking at this separateness that we have amongst each other, it was inbred in us. It was inbred to them to fear us. So they fear us and don't like us. We got to wake up, y'all, and come back together and unite in unity. There was things that was done and said to keep us apart. Ashe.
Even though I should be strangely used to it by now, I'm still extremely disappointed in the way that foreign people of color emigrate to the United States and are immediately anti-Black towards Black Americans. What I keep forgetting, however, is just how common things like skin bleaching are in foreign countries, primarily in the populations of countries of people who emigrate to America the most frequently. Skin bleaching is so much the norm in those countries. It's kind of a social expectation. It's the standard there. So coming to America and viewing and observing how Black American people are so proud of their heritage, their culture, their identity, and most importantly, their skin culture is akin to like racist culture shock for foreign people of color. Because one thing that is absolutely intolerable here in the United States of America, even where colorism is still a problem, skin bleaching is lame ass behavior. Always. And that is something I truly appreciate about the advocacy and the work that Black American people have done.
Every incentive that Black Americans made to better ourselves in this country and to put in law, we don't get none of that shit. It goes right to immigrants.
I came to this country and I was embraced and welcomed by them. They love me. I love them back. Like, I found my people, for real. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I found my people because they're really open-minded compared to Africans. And I've always been a very open-minded person, like very, very open-minded person. And I just feel like I didn't fit there. I didn't fit with y'all Africans. I love us though. I love us so much. Like, I love my roots. I love where I come from. But I can just with y'all to a certain extent, because certain conversations I can't have with y'all because y'all too prejudiced about things. You know what I mean? Y'all not open-minded enough for me, at least. But y'all come here in the United States with preconceived notions already. All y'all have to say about Black people in America is they're ghetto, they're this, they're that. Yeah, they might be a little ghetto, just like y'all a little ghetto over there too. Y'all need to stop acting like there's no ghetto people over there. There are ghetto people in Africa. There are ghetto people, African ghetto people in Europe as well. I come from Europe. I was born and raised in Europe. There are ghetto people all around the world.
Y'all act like we have actually done something wrong to y'all when all we've ever done was fight just to survive, just to be recognized, to be noticed. And now we got problems with y'all, the same color. This is what I'm saying. We can't win for losing. Let me say this. I think it's very disrespectful when you go to get your hair braided and these women are speaking in their native tongue and they're talking about you. I think it's, come on now, like you'll come over here and get our money, but then you talk about us like dogs, but why are you over here? Well, why not just stay in your country and get the money? Because they don't treat y'all right over there. So you come over here and then y'all think y'all gonna dog us. Y'all need to get it together and figure out what the problem is that y'all have with us.
I want to give a really big shout out to my Black American counterparts. So we learned a lot from the Black Americans that lived here because those are the communities they put us in to work. And we lived amongst them and we learned a lot from them. All of the cool things that I truly enjoy in life, most of it is because of my proximity to Black Americans. And I'm not saying I'm not Black. This is not what I'm saying. I'm saying, for those who understand, is that Black Americans, the African diaspora that was already here, they already had a culture. And boy, it was cool. I felt so validated when I was accepted in their community. And so that when I walked someplace, I had this armor of like coolness, right? And here's the thing. A lot of people take that and they didn't in turn reject Black Americans. They called them out their name. They called them lazy. They call them this and they call them that. Despite the hundreds of years that they've set forth the foundation for people to come here to have a better life, right? Amongst other people groups, but I'm talking particularly of Black Americans, that people then in turn make it seem like they're the runts of the group. That is not true. All the coolness that I've adopted is directly from Black Americans. And I can't be more thankful for it. And I will go to bat with anybody that says otherwise about specifically Black Americans. Someone who is of Caribbean descendant from people who are Caribbean immigrants, I can say that I'm eternally grateful for the foundation they laid so that other people groups can be here and understand what it means to be cool, right? And not to say other people aren't cool. I'm just speaking for the African diaspora that's already here, because us as Caribbean descendant people have been integrated with them, and we get called the same as them. And in many ways, we are the same. In many ways, we're not the same, but in many ways, we share the same history. It's interwoven. And so to say anything negative about them is to say something negative about anybody, and it's not fair to pick on that group. Because quite frankly, if you ain't cool, you ain't cool.
As an African, Black Americans are completely different from Africans. The only thing we have in common is the black skin. The black skin. Black Americans, they are one of the realest people. I mean, I'm not saying this to impress nobody. Most of you know me. I'm very raw. I say things the way they are. I don't look at people's faces. I don't care. I say it the way they are. You know me. I don't sugarcoat anybody. No one gives me a dime. Black Americans are one of the realest people you can find out here. And it's so sad because people don't say this often. Let me explain. Black Americans don't know how to gossip others. Black Americans want to eat their own and give your own. In some places where you work, they even give you tips. They are the ones that give these tips. If you go to bars, Africans here in America, if you are a server, they don't pay you much money. You make your money from clients. Do you know that? Like Americans, they go and they pay you money. Like you buy your food, after buying your food and drink, Americans, Black Americans, they give you extra money. They give you like $10 for free. They say, baby, keep this. Some even give you like $15, $20. Did you know that? Africans don't give tips. Wow! They don't give tips, not tips. Wow! 1 penny. Nothing. Africans don't. If you see an African client, say, open that, they'll give you tips. Honey, take on your heels. Black Americans, they go for their own. They are contented. They are happy. Sometimes they don't even make much, but they still go to charity. They still go out, eat, and give tips. Very nice people to hang out with. I'm telling you guys, like, if you want to have like a true friend, find a Black American here in America. Africans, in most cases, will literally, even if they help you, they will rub it on your face. If you have a way to avoid an African as a friend, avoid them. Most Africans, some are real ones, like Nigerians. Those are real people. Yeah, those are real Africans. You can rock with those ones. But the rest, most of the time, when you see Black Americans react in a certain way, know they have been triggered. They've been taught how to defend themselves. They know, because they know they have no one to help them. Maybe sometimes, I don't know, they always say, I don't want to talk too much, but then they have to protect themselves. Yeah, they are so real. Go closer to Black Americans, see the way they react. Some of you are in America for the past 10 years. You've never tasted mac and cheese. You've never tasted Black American meals. The one I posted, the cornbread, it's not cornbread, you guys. They call it French toast. The one I posted in the previous video, it's not cornbread. Black Americans said cornbread is different. They said, I've never tasted cornbread. Hopefully I'll try it one day. But that one is not cornbread. They said it's French toast. Even though it smells nice, it's French toast. Some of you have never had mac and cheese. Some of you have never dined with Black people, Black Americans. Because their circle is too small. They reach your energy from a distance. They can smell you. They know, before you even approach them, they know who you are. Even if you've lived in America for the past 20 years, 30 years, As you open your mouth and say, how are you? Oh, boo, you got an accent. Where you from? Where you from? You good? Have a good one. Have a good one. Have a good one. Selfless. If you want to hear selfless, Black Americans are very selfless people. They don't look for trouble. A Black American will never, ever start insulting you for no reason. Start doing something bad. If they react a certain way, someone did something to them, and they want to show you who they are. They want to make you understand that don't try this to them next time. They want to correct you, and they also want to leave a lesson and a message so you can pass across. That's why sometimes when they are angry, they make sure they correct you and they give you a message so you can give around to your community.
All Black Americans want is for the world to say thank you. Just say thank you, Black America, for the culture. Thank you for the rock and roll. Thank you for the hip hop. Thank you for the rap. Thank you for the aesthetic. Thank you for the way we dress, the way we walk, the way we talk. Thank you for influencing all of our music. Thank you, Black America. Because if it wasn't for you, the minorities in America would be doing way worse. If it wasn't for you, Black America, just say thank you. That goes for Asia, that goes for Europe, that goes for Africa, that goes for every.
Hello brothers and sisters, welcome back to the channel. I'm hoping that you're doing great from whatever you're watching me from. Now, the concept of immigrants and Africans breaking their silence and apologizing to Black Americans, this is best understood not as a single historical event, but as an emerging disclosure shaped by reflection, dialogue, and political education. Understand that in recent years, segments of African and immigrant communities, particularly those who have settled in the United States, have begun and at times complicitly participating in anti-Black attitudes that mirror or benefit from American racial hierarchies. This disclosure reflects a growing recognition that proximity to whiteness and pursuit of immigrant assimilation have sometimes come at the expense of solidarity with Black Americans. And now Africans and generally immigrants are recognizing the fact that there is need for unity. There is need for unity because at some point, they will also need to stand with Black Americans, and they need them. People are learning the art of reciprocity, right? And it's so important because this will foster unity between the two groups. Okay, historically, the relationship between Black Americans and immigrants from Africa and the global South has been shaped by structural forces rather than inherent hostility. U.S. immigration policy, media narratives, and labor markets have often positioned immigrants as model minorities or exceptional newcomers, implicitly contrasting them with Black Americans who are portrayed as cultural deficient rather than structurally oppressed. So, scholars note that this framework incentivized distancing behaviors, while immigrants internalized anti-Blackness stereotypes to secure economic survival and social mobility within a racially stratified society. So coming out and breaking the silence in this context, it refers to a growing willingness among some immigrants and Africans to confront these inherited narratives openly. Now, through academic forums, social media, community conversations, and activist spaces, voices have emerged, acknowledging how anti-Blackness traveled across broad borders via colonial education, global media, and Western epistemologies. This reckoning challenges the myth that anti-Black racism is solely an American phenomenon and instead situates it within a global system shaped by colonialism and white supremacy. Now, the apology that comes from Africans or the immigrants as a concept here is not merely an interpersonal, but apolitical and moral, because it reflects an admission that Black Americans have borne the foundational costs of American democracy. That is slavery, that is segregation, mass incarceration, while others, including later arriving immigrants, have sometimes benefited from civil rights gains without fully aligning with the struggles that produced them. So, political theorists argue that such acknowledgement is a necessary step towards ethical coalition building, as it clarifies historical responsibility, right? Without collapsing distinct immigrant experiences into the Black American history. So you need to understand that. Now, this moment also reflects broader maturation of Pan-African and diasporic consciousness. Now, earlier forms of Pan-Africanism often emphasized symbolic unity while avoiding hard conversations about hierarchy, colorism, and ethnic chauvinism within the Black and African descent communities. So, contemporary disclosure is so much ethical and critical because it recognizes that unity cannot be sustained without truth-telling. Now, the apology that they are giving in this sense becomes a tool for dismantling these internalized colonial logics that ranked Black Americans as culturally inferior despite their central role in global Black resistance. So, importantly, this shift is also driven by political reality. Immigrants and Africans are increasingly recognizing that anti-Blackness ultimately undermines their own safety and futures in the United States. As racial scapegoating expands during periods of economic and political instability, the illusion of immigrant exemption weakens. Scholars of racial capitalism emphasizes that systems built on Black exclusion eventually extend harm to all marginalized groups, making solidarity not only ethical, but strategic. So in sum, the idea that immigrants and Africans are breaking their silence and apologizing to Black Americans represents a developing consciousness rather than a completed reconciliation. It signals a movement away from denial and distancing towards accountability, historical literacy, and coalition grounded in truth. While uneven and contested, this disclosure reflects a critical understanding that genuine solidarity cannot exist without acknowledging harm. So, confronting anti-Blackness with marginalized communities and affirming the foundational role of Black Americans in helping the freedoms that others now seek, it is so much important for us to recognize that. And so Black Americans have played a pivotal role in even making the immigrants be where they are today. And so reconciliation and recognizing their faults and their ancestors' faults really plays a crucial role in making us understanding the plight of Africans, immigrants, and Black Americans in this disclosure. So brothers and sisters, I'm your host and presenter Generic Stories. And if you're watching me for the first time, I'm asking you to please subscribe to the channel, join the membership, and really get to what I can offer you. But until then, peace, love, and harmony. Salute.